If you listen to much of the internet today, they're going to tell you that you have to focus on your front sight. In fact, I promise if you Google search, everything you're going to return on the search results is going to tell you to focus on your front sight to get your hits. Well, I had the opportunity to sit down and speak with Tim Herron, who is a 3-division USPSA Grandmaster here recently in an interview, and he had a very interesting take on how to properly use your iron sight. And for those of you who need the appeal to authority, being a 3-division Grandmaster should be something, but Tim shoots for Team Nighthawk, and if you check out his Instagram feed, you can see some truly impressive shooting using iron sights. Tim can do with iron sights what I can't do with a red dot easily. So with all that said, listen to what Tim had to say on how to use iron sights properly.
It seems like there is a shift going on right now between the whole like front sight focus and target focus. Where do you kind of fall on that spectrum? And it depends is an acceptable answer, but you have to qualify it and talk a lot more if you take that way out.
No, that's fine. I do believe it depends. I am one that used to be years ago of the, kind of the thought that everything needed to be that hard front sight focus. Iron sight shooters have, that's been the institutionalized answer for everything, right? It's like, oh, you're inaccurate. Hey man, you really need to be hard front sight focused on that. You weren't focusing on your front sight enough. And in reality, I see more shooters over refining sight pictures, whether they're iron sight, shooters or whether they're red dot shooters. I'm seeing more people over refine sight pictures, and they're spending too much time refining the sights because they're so hard front sight focused or hard dot focused. And this is where people generally have such a hard time switching over to a red dot if they've shot iron sights for years, right? They're like, I can't pick up the dot. Oh, I can't, I'm having a hard time, like the dot's moving around a whole lot. And it's like, well, that's because you're looking at the dot. You're not looking at a target and kind of like softly superimposing the dot or the iron sights to the target. So, I mean, just over the years, I have learned like hard front sight focus, that's not the answer. In fact, that's rarely ever the answer. Primarily the answer is if I can get you to probably utilize like a softer target focus and being able to utilize the iron sights more efficiently. And what I mean by that is, right, hard front sight focused. And we always look at everything as front sight, front sight, front sight. That's what we've been taught forever and ever and ever. But I think it's wrong. It's the wrong way of doing things. It's like giving somebody an order to, okay, I need you to dig me a 6-foot deep hole, right? But I'm going to give you a garden spade and I'm going to give you a backhoe, right? And so like the backhoe machine, you can't use until the very end. So you're going to have to start digging this massive hole with this little bitty garden spade. That doesn't make any sense to me, right? Like why are we trying to do the majority of our aiming or the majority of the work with the smallest aiming device on the gun, which is the front sight? So, and this is going back to iron sight shooters. So instead we've got like generally this like half-inch tall, half-inch or quarter-inch tall and half-inch to 3/4 inch wide, big rear sight with like this little bitty notch in it. Yet everything that we preach to people is that they should be focusing on this itty bitty little bitty nub on the front of the muzzle to aim the gun with. And then you're kind of like doing the fine tuning or like that last little bit of work with the largest aiming device on the gun, which is the rear sight. And my challenge is, I think you should be using the rear sight to grossly aim the gun first and foremost, which will allow you to use a soft target focus or a target focus, so to speak, on everything. And then just fine tune as needed, kind of peripherally, the front sight to the rear notch and shoot the gun.
I missed a lot of seal looking at my front sight, I noticed. Because the bullet goes where the front sight is, but if you don't have it where it's supposed to be on the target, creates problems and getting sucked into that vacuum of watching that little pipe of fiber optic glow out there at the end of the gun. It's easy to just get to the right or the left or just over a very small aiming point, whereas a soft target focus. I agree with you. I think that's the answer. And I shoot all of my iron sight guns as if they're dots now.
Like, yeah, exactly. And that's the big thing is like dot shooters generally struggle if they've shot iron sights for years when they move to a dot, because they've been shooting iron sights so inefficiently forever, right? And then as they finally learn to shoot a red dot, like for all the advantages of what a red dot sight brings to the table, as far as like, now I get to have a target focus. The funny thing is guys will go back, will kind of revert back to shooting iron sights for a while or experiment. And they're like, oh my God, I've never shot iron sights as efficiently as I have, since I've been shooting a red dot. And it's like, yeah, that's called learning something and learning how to actually process information based on target focus, not a hard front sight focus. Like you've been shooting iron sights wrongly for so long that it took you getting away from iron sights and shooting something that forced you to be target focused to then go back and learn to shoot iron sights, at a much higher degree.
If you want to see more of that interview in my most recent podcast, you can check that out. There is more of that there for you. And if you've made it this far, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks, guys.